Virtual Racing School was developed to provide support to the next generation of sim racers. No matter if you're a rookie or veteran or what car or track you'll be racing, our goal is to provide training every step of the way. We found that iRacing can be quite difficult without proper training. There needed to be a way to prepare for on-track racing. With VRS, you can literally learn from the best sim racers in the world, including 4-time NASCAR iRacing World Champion Ray Alfalla.
And Ray Alfalla is a 4-time champion of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze iRacing Series.
3-time iRacing Grand Prix World Champion Martin Kroenke.
Martin Kroenke becomes a 3-time world champion.
Rallycross World Champion Mitchell de Jong.
Mitchell de Jong is now champion for the iRacing Rallycross World Championship Series.
And many other top sim racers. Data packs include everything you need to start learning. Our World Championship coaches create the data packs by setting a hot lap or a series of fast laps for you to compare, analyze, and replicate. Data packs also include a tutorial where the coach points out techniques they use to hit the fast lap. This gives you access to the latest driving techniques and setups before you even hit the track. Sign up for a free account and download the VRS telemetry logger. With this application running seamlessly in the background, your laps automatically start syncing to the VRS website. From there, you can analyze and compare 2 laps of your choice, whether it's your data, the coaches, or your teammates. VRS will automatically target improvement opportunities so you can get up to speed even faster. VRS also makes it easy for you to request and schedule one-on-one or group coaching sessions. These sessions can range from 30 to 90 minutes, and you can select the car, track, and setup combination of your choice. Visit virtualracingschool.com today to sign up and get started.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
Hi everyone, and welcome to season number 4 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech World Challenge, presented by Performa Texas Elite Graphics here on Apex Racing TV. Embarking on a 7-round sojourn around North America's and Europe's most storied tarmac, and once again for this brand new season, we're going to shine the spotlight on some of the best LMP2 and GT3 drivers from around the world. I'm Greg Ginsburg, and joining me in the announce booth, as always, is Larry Lefty McLeod with Dennis Branch and Jonathan Grabowski, bringing you you all the best views of tonight's action. And so, having kicked off Season 4 at the World Center of Racing, I think a lot of you probably were glued to your peacocks watching the big race there this past weekend. Well, now we head to the country of poets and thinkers and the Rhine Valley, to a circuit that last hosted Formula One in 2019 and that has seen many changes over its 90-year history. Like many pre-war European circuits, it utilized its host town's own streets, and like its big brother, the Nürburgring, much of a lap was spent meandering through the nearby forests. And while the track has changed many times over the years, with the stadium section making its debut in 1965 and those blasts through the forest eliminated in 2002, tonight we're going to be making the run for 75 minutes, all high-speed action around the 2.8-mile, 16-turn Hockenheimring. So, Larry, welcome, and welcome to Germany. And with Christian Eisler backing up his Season 3 championship with a Round 1 win at Daytona 2 weeks ago in that newly energized LMP2 class, a lot of entries 2 weeks ago, and repeating that again here this evening. And of course, we had dominating wins by both Caleb Lavender and Jeff Jacobs in the two different GT3 classes. What do you see this week at the ring? It's a very wide track. It's got long straights with some heavy braking zones, and I think it's really a track that suits both our LMP2 and GT3 classes pretty well.
Yeah, Greg, by the way, thank you, and I'm so looking forward to another night of World Challenge. These are always exciting, and I think what we saw at Daytona a couple weeks back, we're going to see something a little bit different here, I think, because of the nature of this track. It's got a couple of these medium straightaways, then one long straightaway, but it's not like Daytona where you get on that banking and you can just ride it forever and you get by your traffic. This is going to be a lot more difficult for these LMP2 drivers to pick their way through the traffic, and it's going to create opportunities for gaps to close up for anybody who's trying to gain a position. They'll be able to use the traffic to their advantage, or some of them may use it to their disadvantage and lose some of that position. And I think that'll be interesting to watch as our LMP2s make their way through the field. But even in the GT ranks, I think we're going to see some battles where, it was really, as you mentioned, domination by Jeff and by Caleb in the last round. I think we're going to start seeing some contested classes here tonight, unlike we've seen here recently. And I think it's going to be for a really interesting night.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, we're going to have into the commentary booth before tonight's race, John Allen, driver of the number 101 49 Motorsports Lamborghini, and I'm sure he would like to bring the battle to Caleb Lavender. He finished second in GT3 Pro 2 weeks ago at Daytona. So, Larry, as we have our drivers are getting ready to go out for qualifying here in just a few moments, why don't we turn things over to Kevin Ford? He's going to give us the rundown. He's going to give us tonight's track guide from the Hockenheimring.
Welcome, everyone, to the Hockenheimring, located here in beautiful Hockenheim, Germany. Great to have you with us as we provide you your track guide today around this 2.8-mile, 16-turn road course. This course dates all the way back to 1932, and it is a difficult one. A lot of odd radiuses to the corners and very high-speed entries. This place is definitely a challenge. Well, let's begin our track guide as we head up around the final two corners here. We'll approach turn 15. Double right-handers here that'll bring us out onto the front straightaway. As we exit turn 16, you'll notice our main grandstands to the left, our pit area to the right as we cross the stripe and head down towards this very fast and narrow entry of turn 1. A lot of speed carried up off of this corner as you notice our pit exit to the right. We'll head down towards turn 2. Some overtaking opportunities here into this very tight radius of 2. This corner actually wraps back against itself as we come around 3, and then ultimately up around turn 4 here out onto the backstretch. A lot of speed carried here. You can really open up the horsepower of these cars as drivers will be looking for slipstream and overtaking opportunities coming down here into turn 6. This corner here will almost bring you to a complete stop. Very heavy braking zone, very tight radius through that apex as we come up out of 6. Right back up to speed as we head down the next longest straightaway here at Hockenheim. A very fast sweeper to the right of turn 7. This will set us up for that entry into Mercedes turn 8. Another fast little tight apex as will bring us up around 9, and then into the very fast exit of 10, which will take us up onto the next short shoot straightaway here towards turn 11, Mobile 1. 11's not quite as fast as turn 7. Do have to lift a little bit there. We'll track back right, set up our entry into Sachs, turn 12. This one wraps back really tight here. We'll come through 13, back to the right for 14, and then, of course, into the final 2 rights of 15, and then ultimately into this final right-hander of 16. Very fast exit, tracking out wide, out onto the front straightaway. We will cross the stripe. There you go. There's your track guide for beautiful Hockenheimring. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you so much to Kevin Ford for tonight's track guide of the Hockenheimring, as he really pushed that Ferrari around this big course. And Larry, in watching Kevin move that car around here, you can see, one, how wide the track is, but you can see all that wide open running that these cars have. And I think, you said it, that the LMP2 cars, they're going to have a little bit more of a challenge than they did at Daytona, where they could just go around the outside of the GT3 cars on the banking. Obviously, with 16 or so turns here, it certainly will tighten things up. And those GT3 drivers are definitely going to have to keep an eye on the relative screens and keep an eye on the rearview mirrors to see where these guys are coming.
We've called races here. I think we did one of our classic sprint series Miata races, I think in the last season, was at this track. And when they're homogeneous makeup, you find at this corner they're going through right now, as we're watching, I think there's Bobby Childs going through the hairpin there at turn 6, is treacherous at times in full packs when you've got the first opening lap, as they'll go flying into that corner and try to go 2 wide, 3 wide around there. Suddenly you make one of those classes significantly faster than the other. Approach speed makes a difference, braking points make a difference, and all of a sudden they're going to go 2, 3 wide, multiple classes around there. It's going to be interesting. And then followed by that nice flat out stretch through the kink at 7 again, with approach speeds coming in. I think we're going to see some interesting attempts at passing tonight, and I'm not sure everyone's going to go home with clean sheet metal.
Well, we'll see. For the most part, we got out of Daytona major incident free. We had a couple coming togethers and a couple drive-through penalties, but not as much as you would think over the course of a 75-minute race. So hopefully we'll see some clean racing here tonight as well. And so our drivers, they are out for qualifying right now, as you can see from the timing tower on the left-hand side of your screen. About 4 minutes into this 15-minute session. This is what we call a lone qualifying session. Each driver appears to have the track all to themselves. They will have 4 flying laps in order to set a fast time and set the grid for this evening's race. And so early provisional pole sitters, Jennifer McDonald in the number 99 machine in LMP2 with a fast time of a 126.88. That, I believe, was her very first flying lap with Arthur Chan. And she and Arthur have been very, very close on track the end of season 3, as well as that run in Daytona just 2 weeks ago. Chan with a 127.21, about 0.3 off that time. In GT3 Pro, our provisional pole sitter, not a newcomer to the World Challenge, but he was not here for round 1, and he did not race with us in season 3, and that is William Laster, driving the number 31 Laster Racing GT3 Pro Porsche 911, and we'll see if he can hold on to that with a fast time right now of a 136.42.
Yeah, he was quickest in the practice times as well, faster than Lavender, faster than Dan. So he's going to come in here, and I think he's going to be some of the changes that we didn't have at Daytona. He didn't run there. That's really going to mix things up. I just took a quick peek at the iRacing records. His iRating is the other side of 6,000.
Wow.
So, yeah, this guy's, he comes in with the ability to run with the big boys. I think it's going to be a lot of fun seeing him mix it up with some of the names we already know of, Lavender, Dam, and Allen. I think Mr. Laster is going to fit right in there.
There you go. And over in GT3 AM, Steve Daniel, who was our winner probably Steve Daniel was not our winner at Daytona. Jeff Jacobs was our winner at Daytona. But Steve Daniel in the number 96 Ferrari, currently your fastest driver on track, again with 2 flying laps in the books, with a 138.28 is his fast lap time. Jeff Jacobs, our winner at Daytona, currently second fastest driver. Jacobs is only 0.02 of a second off of Steve Daniels' times. And then we've got the other newcomer. Actually, no, he was here at Daytona, David Bowman in the number 77 Audi. But we do have one other driver we haven't mentioned, and I don't believe that he has put a lap time in. Yes, he just has. Esteban Rodriguez driving the number 35 S-Rod Motorsports Porsche 911. He's driving in GT3 Pro as well, like William Laster. And Rodriguez now, as you can see there, in that number all-black number 29 machine, he has set the 4th fastest time with a 137.11, and he's got 2 flying laps in the books, working on number 3 right now.
Yeah, so again, a little bit further deepening the talent pool there in the pro classes if it needed any help. As Esteban slots it right in there, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun with these guys. And that's what I said. I think Caleb was definitely the clear-cut fastest guy at that opening round at Daytona. John Allen tried to chase him down, but I think tonight there's a couple of these new competitors going to try and give a run to Caleb and to John for their money here tonight.
That's right. And, just like we have some new drivers that were not here at Daytona and were not racing with us in Season 3, if you'd like to join the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech World Series, we are still accepting entries up until our next race. That is going to be at the Hockenheimring on February 21st. So you still have over 2 weeks. If you go to extrememotorsports99.com/road, you can find out all about the World Series, and there is a form there to go and submit your entry. And hopefully we'll have you on track with us here with all these great drivers. And Larry, we have a new driver at the top of the leaderboard, and this is Leighton Sinsey in the another one of the Punto CL Racing entries, the number 33 machine. He's gone to the top of the board with a 126.25. That is just about 500, or as you can see there, 56 thousandths of a second faster than our Week 1 winner and Season 3 champion, Christian Eisler.
And that is quicker than either of them ran in the practice session just a bit ago. So it shows you that maybe the track conditions are improving, but also shows you that TNC is picking up the pace a little bit and putting pressure there on that teammate, Christian. I think that's going to be a lot of fun to watch those guys. They had a great battle at Daytona, and I think it's just going to carry over right here to tonight at the Hockenheimring.
Yeah, and you can hear here as he comes onto the front straight, just the modulation of that throttle, how it's, it seems to be constantly on and off to try and make his way around some of the corners that are put in his way. As we jump now over to Christian Eisler, our winner from round 1. I think we've got the number squared away on his car this time, Larry. Yeah. And he is driving the number 727, one of my favorite Boeing aircraft. And as he comes and he is working on this, this is, I believe, his last flying lap. And we'll track him for a few moments here and see. And actually, yeah, it's his last flying lap. But Larry, on his previous lap, he eclipsed Leighton Sinsey and put in a 126.22. So he is now up by just about 300s.
I'm looking in the list of the LMP2 drivers with laps. Arthur Chan just finished his 4th and final lap and does not go a 26.2. So I think at this point, unofficially, Eisler's already on pole. At this point, he's just trying to best it and see if he can get into the 125s. But that's a flyer there at a 26.2. Yeah. Should have him right there on the front of the field as they see the green for the first time here in about 5 minutes or so.
Yeah, just a few moments left here in qualifying, only 5 minutes remaining. And Larry, we've got sitting in the green room, John Allen, driver of the number 101 49 Motorsports Lamborghini. Why don't we bring him in to talk to him and see what his strategy is going into tonight's race?
All right. Joining us is John Allen, a driver in GT3 Pro. John, how's your prep for this week coming along? Are you feeling comfortable?
Not at all, if I'm honest. I've never raced this track, so that coupled with I'm not sure how strong the Lambo is here in general. I'm certainly not terribly comfortable here. So part of the reason I was annoyed with myself at not pulling off the win at Daytona was because I knew this was going to be a survive an advanced type of round for me when I saw it on the schedule.
Yeah, and I don't know if you've scoped out the competition, but I think the pro class pool just got a little bit deeper tonight.
Yes, yeah, definitely. You know, I can be, I think, very happy with a top 5 tonight, and even if I get that, it's going to be dependent on me making no mistakes and someone in front of me making some. So, you know, Daytona, it was the opposite. I made about 12 seconds worth of self-imposed mistakes and lost by 2 seconds, and was pretty frustrated. Here, it's definitely a different approach. I know my limits. I'm not. I'm not going to overestimate my opportunity here at all.
Well, you know, here at the pre-race interviews, we don't know if we get a chance to talk much more than, you know, like at the post-race ones, which you've been a part of a lot. We always talk about that race, that night, and all that. This pre-race one, I want to ask you a little bit about your non-sim racing, because I know you do a lot of real-world stuff.
Sure.
Why don't you tell folks what you normally race, and then give us an indication of what else you've driven besides your normal race car.
Well, it's very Mazda-centric, a bit not surprising for those who have seen me on the usual Monday night thing here in the sim, but Spec Miata for about 5 years. I had no karting background, anything of that nature, really, even autocross, just, I don't know, drove on country roads where there wasn't many other cars around and discovered I liked driving to the limits, and eventually found my way to do it legally and stopped my license through points accumulation. So once that happened, it was no looking back, and got some good results early and got aligned with some of the right people, usually through the sim. I mean, it's a really cool community, crosses over to the real world racing a lot, and it was some of those real world Spec Miata drivers that convinced me to get out of the sim and come up with a way to do the real thing. So did a lot of that. I had maybe a bit premature from a little success in year one, a chance to run the Spec MX5 series in its inaugural year in 2018. And while I did have the honor of being the first pole sitter that the series ever had, my qual pace and my race pace, just with limited racecraft at that point, were different things. So I hung around the top, but didn't get any wins, and back to Spec Miata for the last few years. And now I've found a kind of a passion for coaching. I do a lot with NASA, and they have their Teen Mazda Challenge program, which has been around for about 10 years, but within my region in NASA Great Lakes, we're growing it rapidly, and we've got some real hot shoes coming in from karting ranks, and I really enjoy helping them find their speed and convert from that open wheel sports car chassis.
Yeah, and I think that seems to be the route a lot of the younger drivers are coming along, of course, trying to get into the full-size cars, which you've got that experience in. But I'm wondering, in your coaching, do you find that as you coach the younger drivers, you yourself kind of absorb some of what you're trying to coach to them and actually make yourself a better driver in the end?
I absolutely, yeah. And sometimes it's honestly kind of a facepalm moment. Like you'll be teaching something and realize you're not even doing it. It's just oh, well, it's that simple. Why am I not taking my own advice? So it's been a good exercise and humbling in that regard. But it's so fun. I mean, I think everybody knows generally, if they're into club racing, that Spec Miata pack is about the best club racing there is on the planet. So iron sharpening iron, and it's good for them to get experience young. And I've had a blast being a part of it, whether I'm chasing them or towing them along.
Yeah, well, it sounds like it's a blast, and I'm sure once I'm at the level where coaching will help me, I will give you a call. But until then, we're just going to watch you race, and your race is about to start, so I'm going to let you get to it. Hopefully, we'll talk to you in about an hour and 15 minutes.
If you do, it went a lot better than I expected to. But thanks,
Good
guys.
luck tonight, John.
All right, there you go. John Allen, driver of the number 101 49 Motorsports Lamborghini Huracan. And Larry, some people, they just don't absorb coaching very well. And I'm not making any judgments about you. Maybe I'm making more of a judgment about me. All right, so we've got the starting grid. Why don't we run things down, Larry? I'll take the LMP2s if you want to take the GT3s. Right. Starting off on pole, the Punto CL Racing entry of Christian Eisler, our winner from 2 weeks ago at Daytona, the 126.217 as his pole setting time. His teammate driving the number 33 Punto CL Racing machine, only 28 thousandths of a second off, Leighton Sincey Jennifer McDonald will start on the inside of row number 2 with Jay Shallington right beside her. Then Arthur Chan, driver the number 50, Axon Motorsports machine. He will start 5th with Jake Gertzen in the reverse grid racing machine starting 6th. Ignacio Fredes will start on the inside of row number 4 with Oleg Vorontiak starting next to him. Then we've got Jay DeVries and Eduardo Lorente starting 9th and 10th. And then Charlie Bono will round out the field in LMP2.
All right, let's jump over to GT3 Pro. On the pole, he's back in the series. And on the pole in the Laster Racing outfit is William Laster with a 136.3. And he was able to best Caleb Lavender, a round 1 winner from the D2D eRacing Skull Sim Gear entry. And Caleb will be on the outside of row 1. Inside of row 2, another one of our newcomers from S-Rod Motorsports. It's Esteban Rodriguez. And he'll be lined up alongside Orion Racing's Mike Dam. On row 3, Tony Kernan from Kernan Motorsports has got the inside there, and he'll be alongside, we just got done talking to him, from 49 Motorsports, John Allen. On row 4, on the inside, from D2D eRacing, it's David Payton. On the outside, another D2D eRacing driver, it's Chris Thorman. On row 5, from Orion Racing, Travis Schwenke. A little farther back than we're used to seeing Travis. As we jump over to GT3 AM on the pole, a round 1 winner, Jeff Jacobs in the StreetSurvival.org car. On the outside, Bobby Childs in D2D Racing in Skull Sim Gear. Row 2, Andre Saunders, who's going to be running in the AM category from now on here. In the Mohawk Racing, he's lined up with David Bowman in the Dysfunctional Racing entry. On row 3, Steve Daniel on the inside. He'll be lined up against Russ Ruddock on the outside there. And finally, last but not least, on row 4, John Casey from 046 Racing and Robert Briss from RFC Racing.
All right, there you go. And the pace lap is underway. We're just listening as our drivers are getting some final instructions from race control. And if you take a look at your screen, we've got the split view there. We've got our LMP2 drivers who are making their way up towards the front straight. They will take the green. And then just a little bit later, our GT3 pole sitter, William Laster, will bring the tin top cars, the touring cars, to the line, and they will get their green flag as well. As we've got Christian Eisler bringing the field around the final curve, and the green flag is in the air, and we are racing. And you can see already as Arthur Chan drops to the inside, but going and taking an early lead, cutting across traffic is Christian Eisler with Leighton Sincey, Jennifer McDonald running in third, and then side by side, Ignacio Rodriguez and Jay Shallington as our GT3 drivers now come around the final corner, that black Porsche of Laster leading the field now onto the front straight, and they will get the green flag here momentarily. And there you go. They have the green flag now, and they are on their way on the front straight as Laster looks like he might have lost a little bit of ground to our outside runner, our second place runner, and that is Caleb Lavender, who is the first driver in the GT3s into turn 1. Then we've got Laster, then Mike Dam, then Rodriguez, then we've got Tony Kernan. It is a top 5 Porsche train, followed by John Allen, the first non-Porsche in his Lamborghini, currently sitting in 6th position, all in GT3 Pro and GT3 AM. Bobby Childs leading Jeff Jacobs. And then looks like Eduardo Lorente had a pretty bad start there in the, actually, I think he started from the very rear of the field where he might have been late to the grid or started from the pit lane.
So I'm a little concerned as we had seen the message flash across the screen that the start is under review. I'm a little concerned specifically about the GT3 crowd there with that front row.
Oh, and going around real quick. Leighton Sincey goes around, and he's going to drop to the tail end of the LMP2 field as he just now gets that car recovered, coming out of the final turn, out of turn 16 onto the front straight.
Yep, and then over the GT3s, looks like, another spin in the back there, a big spin. A couple of cars going to make contact in the GT3s. I was going to talk about Tony Kernan and going off and getting back on, but that's nothing compared to what's going on behind him.
Yeah, it looks like we had Bobby Childs go off, maybe John Allen as well. A number of drivers with incidents there, and big mix-up in the field. Schwenke involved. I think David Payton and Chris Thorman involved as
Jacobs
well.
Maybe in that one as well. Yeah, big pile up there as they'll get themselves all sorted out. And we flash back up into the LMP2s. Got a shot of Jennifer McDonald there, currently in second, with Leighton having that spin there on the early laps. And again, these cars, LMP2s, do take them a little bit to get some heat in the tires. This is not the longest track in the world here. and I think that probably caught him a little bit off guard on those cold tires. Jennifer was very quick in practice, and I think she's going to try and keep that pace, see if she can keep Kristen Eisler within sight as they make their way around. And already we've got some intermixing of classes going on. That's the 93 of Mike Dam.
And so 2 weeks ago at Daytona, it was the Punto CL Racing Show with Eisler taking the win, with Ignacio Rodriguez Fredes finishing second, Leighton Sensei finishing in third, and then it was Arthur Chan and Jennifer McDonald. But early on, that BTL Motorsports machine of McDonald, as you mentioned, Larry, putting in very good times in practice and in qualifying, currently running a distant second at the moment here as we're working lap number 3. But let's take a look. I think we've got the replay queued up of what happened to our GT3 drivers coming through that final corner.
Yeah, the big old slide started it, parked himself in the middle of the track, and unfortunately quite a few people got tangled up in there. Trying to see who that was, if that was Rist. I'm not sure who it was that with the initial spinning car, and unfortunately at that point he's a passenger, and everyone else, it's just tough to make a change to your line when you come around mid-corner and there's a car parked there.
Yeah, very, very fast corner there. All right, so, I'm getting word, Larry, that the number 5 car.
Yeah, it's Fredes.
Yeah, Ignacio Fredes getting a drive-through penalty, getting on the throttle, starting his advance before the green flag flew, and so he's going to get a drive-through penalty.
That's big, because you see right now he's running in that third spot, has had a pretty good start to the race. Unfortunately, a little bit too good there at the green flag, going to drop him back once he serves that penalty. And I suspect it could be a tight race among these LMP2s tonight, so every little bit is going to hurt. We already saw the spin a bit ago by Tennessee Layton. Now we've got the other of the Punto CL Racing drivers, Fredes, now having to do his drive-through penalty, and I think he's serving that now.
Yeah, he's on the pit lane right now as we jump over to our GT3 action here on board with David Bowman, currently running second in the AM category. He's got both David Payton and Travis Schwenke, who I believe were involved in that earlier incident, just ahead of him. Then Steve Daniel is currently our leader in the category, but very tight running there with Bowman, Thorman, Saunders, and Ruddick as well. You can see kind of starting to queue up back behind that number 77 Audi as LMP2 traffic just gets by.
Thorman's Ferrari looks like it's got a little bit of a wrinkle in the front end as well, as he looks like he may have been involved with that incident. There's a good shot of that.
Oof. Yeah, that's more than a wrinkle.
Yeah, it's gonna keep the employed to the local body shops in and around this part of Germany here. That's no longer a straight front end on a Ferrari. But as we flash back to the front, it's Lavender who had that great start, jumped out to that lead. He's up ahead of Laster, but Dam is not going anywhere yet. And then Rodriguez in fourth. This top 4 is going to be quick all night. These guys are going to be pushing. There's going to be no saving tires for the end with these guys.
No, certainly not. And of course, we would expect that our GT3 drivers, they will need to take a pit stop tonight. We expect that they can do probably somewhere around 46 to 48 minutes on a full tank of fuel. That would turn out to be about 30 laps or so. So a good chance that they will definitely need to come in and take a decent amount of fuel in order to get to the checkered flag.
Yeah, it's Tennessee Layton you see there in the number 33 trying to make his way through traffic, and he's already caught up to Borotniak. He's there in that number 4. But Layton have that early spin. He's got himself about 11 seconds behind teammate Kristen Eisler, but not just 11 seconds. He's about 6 cars back, and that's tough. He's got to make his way through all of this traffic.
Yeah, and it looks like Jay Shallington in the number 8 machine. He had you can see him in that shot as well. He had a bit of an incident, I think, early on as well, that he dropped a number of positions in class. He had started off in 4th position, fell back to his current position 8th, and you can see here is the 33 of Leighton Sensei trying to find his way not only around Vorontiak, but also try to find his way around some of the backmarker GT3 traffic as well. Oh, and going off right there, that is Jay DeVries, I believe, in the number 21 machine that we just saw go off.
Yeah, and then you see, of course, right there is the number 5 of Fredes, who has already served that penalty, and he's trying to come to the same traffic. So here's this pack. You talked about Shallington. And we talked about Fredis, we talked about Leighton. All three of those guys now here are in a bunch going to the pack for a variety of reasons, whether it be spins or penalties. They're now finding themselves pretty close together on track, trying to get around Vorotniak, and now trying to set their sights on that top 4, still about 6 seconds up the road.
All right, as they come up, it looks like they were coming up on John Casey. As we jump over now, we've got Travis Schwenke currently running 6th in GT3 Pro, and Steve Daniel in the Ferrari, the number 96 machine, right behind Steve Daniel. He is your leader in GT3 AM, and sandwiched between a couple of these pro cars. And I think Schwenke actually may have started from the either from the pit lane. I don't think he put a time in qualifying, Larry.
He did not. I'm looking at it now, and there was a lap time put in for him, but it might have been one of those out laps or something. It looks like he may have 1X'd, as they say, all of his laps in qualifying. Yeah. So starting from the back of the field, I don't think he started from the pits, but he's got a lot of work cut out for him now. He's, as you can see, he's got leader Eisler making his way around him, but for Schwenke, we know he's got speed, but he's finding himself about 8 seconds behind the top 4. He's got a lot of work to do to catch those guys.
Yeah, and a big change for Travis this year, driving the Orion Racing BMW M4 GT3 as opposed to the Porsche 911 that he's been driving for a few years. And we take a look, and that is not a picture you'd like to see. That is Jake Gortson in the number 12 machine. He might be missing a little bit of body work there.
Yes, I think we're gonna catch a replay on this to kind of see how that may have happened. It's a replay on this right-hand side. I don't know that he was actually seen there. I think that may have been the issue. Kind of came up on the blind spot.
Yeah, so a lot of damage there, not only to LMP2 machinery, but the GT3 machinery as well.
Was that Bobby Childs?
That was. I'm pretty sure that was the Childs. The Childs
looking
machine.
At Bobby now, and Bobby's made his way in and out of the pits already. So that may have been him involved in that.
Yeah.
And looks like Bobby's already exited the sim. So unfortunately for him, his night is over.
Yeah, unfortunately for him, that a little bit too much damage to bear for the number 88 Ferrari, and he's going to call it an evening for the number 88 machine.
As an incident also under review between the 60 and the 12, and the 60 is Thorman. The 12 is Gertzen, as we already saw Gertzen's car was out.
And Larry, look at the battle right here. We have a new leader in GT3 Pro as William Laster gets around Caleb Lavender. Great move there as the Porsche just comes down on the inside of the Audi and gets by. As looks like we've got some more our LMP2 leader coming up on our GT3 leaders, and you just saw their incident under review that we were discussing earlier.
Yeah, a couple of those. But yeah, what a battle. The fact here that Laster was able to reel Lavender back in and make us round him. But I don't think Lavender is going to be going anywhere anytime soon, as he looks like he may want that spot back right here and right now.
Yeah, and you can see he was able to draft right back up. And again, these very long straightaways here that we have at the not the Nürburgring, at the Hockenheimring. Thank you very much. You know, coming out of one, going down to the Parabolica, that very tight hairpin over at 2, and of course you've got that long Parabolica leading you all the way down to 5, where you can just continue to feed in throttle, and the draft definitely works out here.
Yeah, for sure. And I think if you're Lavender, you're going to use all that and know this is a long race. So what if Laster's able to get by you? That's not a big deal. It's what you expect. You're going to be in a bit of a dogfight the entire way. And for Laster, it's got to feel pretty good after having lost the lead there right on that opening start before they even got through turn 1. Got to feel a little bit of redemption now that he's back out in front where he thinks he belongs. But also this little battle means that Dam and Rodriguez haven't gone anywhere, as those guys are within a second of this front battle. So very tight. You can see the top 4 is lined up right there as they go down the main straight.
As Leighton C in that number 33 Punto CL Racing LMP2 to Lara. He was sitting back just basically hanging out between Mike Dam and our second place runner Caleb Lavender, just looking for the best opportunity to get by. I think he kind of realizes at least where he is right now and the gap that he has up to our first through third place runners. That, as you mentioned, long race, perhaps a little bit of time to not force the issue with the leaders in another class.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't need to get tangled up at this point, not even 15 minutes into this 75 minutes. Let things come to you, let the race go along and see what happens. And maybe, if you're Caleb Lavender, maybe even save a little bit of fuel. Maybe you can kind of coast a little bit down that long parabolic curve straight, and maybe you can make your pit stop a little later or a little shorter than your rivals.
Although, if you see there, we do have Mike Dam and also Esteban Rodriguez starting to really close up on our leaders right now. Margin from second back to Dam in third, just about 7, maybe 8/10 of a second, but they've picked up quite a bit of ground in the last 3 laps or so.
Yeah, I think they're doing, for Dam and Rodriguez, doing a fantastic job here of just keeping these guys in sight. And a little bit off there for Lavender as he was trying to get out of the way of the LMP2 driver, but he makes his way back on, but not without giving up a lot of time. And now Mike Dam right on his bumper. But that means that the Lasser now has a pretty big margin.
Yeah, so I was going to say, forget about that 8/10 of a second now as Mike Dam now right onto the back bumper of the Audi, and Rodriguez is right there as well. Just simply, an unforced error there as Lavender did take all 4 wheels to the grass in trying to get that LMP2 traffic by.
Yeah, little John Deere, little Code Brown moment there for Caleb, able to recover. And even here, he's a little bit off his game, probably still thinking about what that was there on that last lap. And for Mike Dam, this might be his opportunity to make the pass down this long parabolic straight, but he's going to get out of the way of that. Shallington, I think, is that number 8 coming through. Tight racing here, but it's a long night, and a lot of these guys know that, hey, you can't just go sticking your nose in this early. Even when a guy goes off, like we just saw with Lavender, he comes back on. He's still got momentum, and for Dam, it's like, all right, well, let's just kind of play the patient game here. Exactly. You got to go find 2 seconds to catch Laster up the road.
Yeah, we've still got an hour to go here from the Hockenheimring. Lots and lots of time, but yeah, I think you want to make sure you don't let the leader get away. We know what happened 2 weeks ago at Daytona, where John Allen, as he mentioned, he only finished 2 seconds back from Caleb Lavender, but that was a race that frankly was lost probably within the first 15 minutes, and Allen was playing catch up for the remaining 60 minutes of the race.
Yeah, and speaking of Allen right now, he's somewhere down around the 13th spot overall between the GT3s, not having the night that he wanted to have coming into this. There's a shot of him right now in that Lamborghini. He knew that he was going to be a little bit outrun tonight without the experience on this track. I'm glad he was able to take the time to do that interview with us beforehand, but I think he's living out the nightmare he was worried this track
again, I think he was caught up in that incident at the end of lap 1 that really set him on the back foot. Again, he is sitting currently 9th in GT3 Pro, 26th overall. Next closest competitor in his class up the road, 5 cars up. That's Chris Thorman in the number 43 Ferrari. So long battle for John Allen tonight.
Yes, it is. But the top 4 here in the GT3 Pro are putting on a heck of a battle right now as Lavender, Dam, and Rodriguez have taken a second out of Laster's lead with all of this LMP2 traffic going around. That's what we're going to see a lot of tonight. A lot of that accordion there. Look at that. Even with the 21 of Jay DeVries trying to get around Lavender there. Either one of them deciding which way I wanted to go, and luckily no contact.
Yeah, and luckily as one made the quick course correction, the other car did not make the same course correction. Otherwise, it could have been a very as Mike Dam goes wide, it could have been a very long night for Caleb Lavender if he had gotten into that LMP2 car. All right, So as we watch here now, one of the other things we talked about, Larry, is we see the drivers make their way through here. I think actually I was talking during practice with Dennis Branch about the entrance to the pit lane here at speed, and it is one of the more difficult entrances. You do have very high concrete walls on either side of you. It's got a couple quick bends, and at least in practice, a number of drivers were having some issues navigating their way through. Some of them had contact. Some of them were slowing down to practically 0 miles an hour in order to weed their way through. Do you think that could possibly come into play here tonight as well?
For sure, yeah, we could definitely see potential incidents down there. But a lot of drivers, if you struggle with it, you get into the real race, you might go super conservative, and that's going to leave opportunities for somebody else to gain some position on you. I think we'll be watching for that when we get around to that those pit stops in the next 20-25 minutes for
so,
the GT3s, and then earlier, I think, for the LMPs.
Yeah, we should have the LMP2s in a little bit earlier. We talked about the 30 laps or so, and maybe 45 to 48 minutes for the GT3s. The LMP2s get quite a bit less mileage on their machines between fuel stops. They only in practice this week we're getting somewhere along the lines of 23 laps, maybe 33 to 35 minutes on a tank of fuel. So
very
they're going to
normal
need to
for these. Normally the bogey is that 30 to 32 minutes, regardless of how many laps the track happens to make it. So these drivers, we're already 18 minutes in. And so we could be looking at the next 12 to 15 minutes, a slew of these. And we've got, what do we have, 9 of these tonight?
Right now, we've got 10 of them.
Yeah, so there's going to be a lot of them coming in and out, and it's going to mix up a lot of these, the class mix up even further on when they all have to go do it again right after they make their stop.
That's right. And when I say 10, we have 10 on track currently. We still have Jake Gertzen sitting in the pits trying to get some of that damage repaired from his earlier incident with the GT3 traffic.
Speaking of LMP2s, you'll see what we're looking at, and that is Jennifer McDonald now just 7/10 behind race leader Christian Eisler, as she has taken a ton of time out. She was 2.5 seconds back at one point. Now with all this traffic, she's practically on his heels, and I think that's the 95 of Ruddick.
That is Russ Ruddick directly ahead, and you could see there is Christian Eisler got balked just a little bit, and Jennifer McDonald had the had the benefit of seeing what was happening up ahead of her, and was able to choose an alternate line and did not lose the ground. And so she's been making up ground here, as essentially the 727 car has been parting the seas for the number 99 car here.
It's a whole different way to draft. The only draft is to block the wind. Right now, Christian Eisler is just blocking his way through all the GT3s. Jennifer is just using that as easy sailing right on through.
All right, as they go into the hairpin here.
It's Bowman, I think, that's trying to make their way around now.
That's right, and so now McDonald right on the back of the 727 machine. And I think this is, Larry, as close as somebody has been to Eisler when he's been leading a race in, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 World Challenge races going back to season number 3.
Yeah, it definitely has. We have not seen him challenged like this, and I think it's great. I think it's great to see a little bit of action up front. I think Jennifer is the right one to do it. She seems like she came in well prepared tonight. Like I said, she was quick in practice, and here she is showing that pace and her ability to run down in traffic. I think this is pretty exciting, as we're not even at that first pit stop yet.
Yeah, and a couple weeks ago at Daytona, of course, Eisler had the benefit of the 2 teammates running interference for him early on in the race, with both Leighton Cincy and Rodriguez Fredes running very close behind, within a couple of seconds or so, but certainly able to hold up the rest of the field until, again, we had for a time there, it looked as though with the alternate pit stop strategy that Arthur Chan had used, that perhaps Chan would have been able to leapfrog those 2 drivers. It didn't work out for him in the end, though. But for a while there, we thought that, maybe he would stand the chance of working his way onto the podium. As we jump back over here, Mike Dam, and that was Esteban Rodriguez in the black Porsche, going for Mr. Toad's wild ride there, right back behind the 93 of Mike Dam, currently running 4th. And so our top 4, they've separated themselves out just a little bit here, but still we have William Laster currently your leader. And of course, if you're watching, fairly easy to tell the LMP2 cars on track. But as we refer to both the GT3 Pro and GT3 AM cars and drivers, the Pro cars have those red mirrors. They've got the red number boards, red M plates, and red windshield banners and the AM category cars, led by Steve Daniel. By the way, things are starting to tighten up just a little bit in the AM category, Larry, as Andre Saunders in the Mohawk Racing BMW, you can see him coming out of the corner there, has actually moved from the pro category to the AM category starting this week. He's starting to close things down a little bit on Steve Daniel, but the AM category drivers, they've got the green end plates, the green mirrors, the green windshield banners as well, and that's how you can tell the difference there, and of course the green number boards as we track Saunders through here. And Saunders so far tonight has had I don't want to bring out the announcer's curse, because it seems like every time we talk about him, yeah, the car goes around, but he's got a new paint job on the car tonight, gone away from the all black livery, and the Mohawk Racing entry looking very strong tonight here in the AM category.
Yeah, he definitely does, I think, and right now as he's trying to close in on the lead, I think he definitely looks like he's kind of getting into that groove. We've talked about him in the past, and once he gets in the groove, we know that he's got pace. So 4.5 seconds up the road is certainly not insurmountable with another 55 minutes or so, or 50 minutes left in the race, and a pit stop to boot. So could be an interesting night still to play out here in the GT3M.
Yeah, he took about a half second off of the 96 Ferraris. Times an advantage there just that last lap as we jump back over to the lead in GT3 Pro. And wow, I mean, it is just to see that car as they come around through the final corner onto the front straight to see the way that Porsche gets tossed around. And you'd think in looking at there that Laster would get that car all out of sorts, but somehow he seems to gather it up each and every corner, and it doesn't appear as though, at least at this point, and maybe he's looking to save some fuel, but it doesn't look like Lavender can really cover the pace there as Mike Dam starts to close things up once again as well.
Yeah, and that's, but he's there, and I think the fact that he's right there means that this race is a long ways to go, and they are different cars, where
right.
Laster, Dam, and Arrigas are all in the Porsche. Lavender's got that Audi, and I think you're going to find that maybe at the end of this race, they wear tires a little bit differently. Yeah. They may even sip fuel a little bit differently. So it'll be interesting to see how their pit stops change and how their pace changes at the end of the race, as right there, you got the number 50 of Chan trying to catch Leighton and make a move.
There we go. And so this is the battle for third here in the LMP2 category. And of course, Leighton, since he had that early spin, put him all the way to the back of the LMP2 field as he's made his way back around. And yeah, you can see here is Arthur Chan, the Axon Driving Solutions number 50. He was our Season 2 champion. He is maybe losing a little bit of ground there, but again, somewhat early, and we'll see what kind of pit stop strategy he chooses as we're starting to get pretty close to that first pit stop window for these drivers. But look at this, as Jennifer McDonald still just taunting Christian Eisler as they try to make their way through this GT3 traffic. And you watch this, Larry, and it seems as though Jennifer just, and it just may be a question of how far ahead she's looking, but she seems to be almost a step ahead of Eisler as they deal with the GT3 traffic, or she's looking as Eisler picks a position. Maybe it's almost like a counterpunch that she's certainly not following him straight through, but perhaps looking and setting up for the next corner to maybe carry and maybe make up some additional ground as they all clear those GT3 cars.
Yeah, and she may be doing that, just being very patient at this point. I mean, she could even be doing the old classic save fuel, save tires as well. Yeah. But right now, she's content to just sit back there. She's certainly not forcing the issue. There may be other drivers in this field that might have taken opportunities to stick their nose in there and try to make a move to hold that lead. Right now, though, she seems content not to. And frankly, not really any need to, other than it would be nice to lead a lap at some point. I believe that is one of the bonus points that these drivers can earn, is to lead a lap during the race. So sure, she'd love to get credit for that at some point, but happy to play the patient game and kind of let it come to her.
As we're working now lap 19, and so getting closer to that pit window. I mean, we thought the pit window would probably be somewhere maybe starting around lap 17. so they're in there, and again, maybe pushing it a little bit longer here, as we just saw for a moment there in GT3. That is the 66 machine of with the 96 directly behind. Probably not the 66, the 64 machine of David Payton. Payton, who's running, Payton currently running 7th in Pro, and doing his best job here to pull the fellow Ferrari along. And as you mentioned, Steve Daniel, the number 96 machine, he is our AM category leader. And it doesn't look like Andre Saunders. Oh, and here we go once again as Arthur Chan. And that's not Arthur Chan and Sin C. That is Ignacio Rodriguez Fredes. That is the third of the Punto CL Racing entries, and looks like Chan's going to give up another position. So we're back, somewhat back to the formation that we were running 2 weeks ago at Daytona, but in very quick succession over the course of 3 laps or so. Chan giving up two positions.
And almost back to where we were at the start of the race. In fact, other than Leighton was starting on the front row, now he's about 10 seconds back. But yeah, amazing to watch these guys go through someone like Chan, who we know has got a lot of car control, very fast in these cars, and just watch Leighton and Fredes make their way through at a very difficult to pass track.
Yeah, and again, remember that the number 33 car had that early spin, and then Ignacio Rodriguez Fredes, who jumped the start, had to serve a drive-through penalty. So both drivers have had their problems early on in the race, and see them work their way back and get around Arthur Chan a little bit surprising there. As we jump back once again, GT3 battle.
Yep, and still it is Dam and then Rodriguez. Paying attention to the car number on the side of the car there for Rodriguez, and the 29 on the leaderboard it says 35.
35. We were warned things might not be 100% correct, Larry.
Kevin Ford, I think he did this to test me. He actually, he said he had it all fixed except for one, and it was up to me to find it. I think I just did.
Yeah, I think you might have picked it out.
Kevin Ford, of course, one of the admins and stewards, is we've got quite a battle on our hands with the teammates here. This is Leighton and Fredes, and Fredes is going to go around, and that's going to let Chan on through. No contact anywhere, but he definitely, I wonder if he got a little bit of the wash on the back of Leighton as he was side by side, through down there through 15, 16, and he just spun it right there coming onto the main straight. Yeah,
as they were going through the Sachs curves over there, where probably the tightest section of the track, you get that very tight hairpin at 11, quick left and right, and then that brings you around towards the front straight there, and just brought the rear end of the car around. And as we look here, still very close in GT3, but that is going to, as you mentioned, move Arthur Chan now back up into 4th. And Ignacio Rodriguez, he's going to fall about, he's now almost 12 seconds in arrears of Arthur Chan. There you go, 11.5 seconds. As we see our GT3 leaders having to work their way through traffic, getting both Laster and Caleb Lavender working their way around the Lamborghini of Russ Ruddock, and once again that 333 D2D E-Racing Audi all over the back of the Laster Porsche, the Laster Racing number 31 machine.
Yep, and this battle has definitely taken off as Lavender was able to finally separate himself a little bit from Dam, although I think Dam may be making a charge to come on back. Of course, he's got another one of the GT3 Ams in between there. But definitely now kind of two-car battles here with the front two, Laster and Lavender, and then the next two, Dam and Rodriguez, fighting it. I wonder how long Rodriguez is going to go sit back there patiently if he sees an opportunity to get around Mike Dam and try and maybe think maybe he's got the pace. Is this maybe his opportunity?
And his
that's
opportunity,
not good for him.
Yeah, I was going to say his opportunity disappeared almost as quickly as it appeared, Larry, as Russ Ruddock lost the rear end of the car right behind Mike Dam. I don't think there was any contact between the Porsche of Dam and the Lamborghini of Ruddock, but the rear end went around.
I think Esteban was able to avoid the contact. Yeah. But talk about, then they are going to take a look at that and see maybe if there's any
right, let's take a look at the replay, Larry, here as we got it queued up. And we'll see here as Dam tried to go underneath the Lamborghini, and oh yeah, maybe a little tap there. And,
yeah, that's unfortunate. And I know that I believe that the 95 there is the other car that was Ruddick. Yeah, obviously should probably at that point, I believe he's got the blue flags would have been showing, but it's on the faster car to safely make their way on by.
Exactly.
So we'll let the stewards take a look at that and see if they're
yeah, and
and
it looked like Ruddick had opened up the door on the run down to the corner there, came back to the apex, and I think Dam wasn't up close enough to him. But the hole closed up very, very quickly.
It did, and and if you're Russ and you're knowing you've got Mike Dam and you've got this battle that you're kind of letting through, you look at the straightaways and you get to a point down the straightaway, you say, okay, he's not going to get me in this corner. Let me take my line, and then I'll peek in the mirror when I come out of the corner. And that might have been all that he did. Yeah. As Rodriguez now a little bit wide. It's Laster now a little bit wide there with Lavender on his heels. But yeah, I think that may be one of those where you just think, okay, he's not going to do it here. I'll let him by in the next straightaway, and then you get that moment where Dan thought the opposite. But, hey, maybe there's a window there, and I'll stick my nose on the inside. And turns out the door was shut.
And it just didn't work out well. And so we'll see how that plays out with the stewards. I mean, it's certainly opened things up quite a bit here for both Laster and Lavender. It's given both of them a little bit of breathing room. Now that Mike Dam has dropped back a little bit, and it may open things up quite a bit if there's a penalty that gets assigned to the number 93 machine, who looks like he might be having some handling issues there with the Porsche. I don't think there was necessarily any major damage with that incident, but the car definitely looks a little more loose than it did a couple laps ago.
Just a little bit, so we'll have to kind of see how that goes. Mike Dam still trying to make his way, and our leader, Christian Eisler, is into the pits for the first time, and odd that he's one of the early ones to stop.
Well, maybe not so odd as Cincy, odd for Christian Eisler, but we have Leighton Cincy, Arthur Chan, Ignacio Rodriguez Fredes all coming into the pits at the same time. That's going to leave Jennifer McDonald out for at least an extra lap, so she is now your leader here. Had been running second, and we'll see what kind of lap time she can put down in that number 99 BTL racing machine.
I tell you what it does mean is if she was able to save at least one more lap worth of fuel and feels like it's worth staying out, maybe at some point she can double this for the next stop to save a little bit of fuel, and maybe her second stop becomes a little shorter than the others, and it becomes a great opportunity to move up, get some track position. We'll see where she comes out after this, and once she does stop here, I assume on the next time by.
All right, so Christian Eisler back out on track now, rejoins in second position, just about 40 seconds back from our leader, Jennifer McDonald. That is going to move now Shallington in the number 8 machine, who had his problems early. He's going to move up to third. He has not taken his first pit stop of the evening yet. However, Arthur Chan, though, here we go, Larry, is Arthur Chan in that pit cycle comes out ahead of Leighton Cincy. And let's take a look at the pit stop times there. About 3 seconds, 2.5 to 3 seconds shorter for Arthur Chan, as Jennifer McDonald now comes down onto the pit lane from the lead. And let's see how this pit stop works out for her, and if she can rejoin either with Eisler on track or maybe just ahead.
Yeah, you mentioned, though, about that pit time for Chan. Just a little quicker than Leighton. It wasn't a lot, but he's able to make that jump in the pits and come out in front of him. And, of course, Fredes still now has to make his way back through the pack. But look at this, as Eisler, our former leader, now stuck behind Jacobs as he's making his way through traffic. Jennifer's on her way out of the pits now.
Well, no, there she goes. She's just now getting underway, and I think we just saw Christian Eisler go by. So Eisler is going to retake the lead, and I think that if we take a look here, McDonald's time, even though she had maybe an extra one less lap worth of fuel in the tank, she had a longer pit time than Eisler, just about a full second difference.
Yeah, I think that was part of it, and I may go back to what you said earlier about the pit entry road, and I have a feeling she may have been a little more cautious down that pit entry road than Christian may have been. hard to see it in the telemetry here in any of our data, but I would not be surprised if that ends up being the issue there. It's one of those, if you're not super comfortable down there, you can't put it on the limit all the way up to that actual timing mark. You give up a little bit of time, or Iceland may have taken that risk and just threw it in there, and now he's got himself a nice 5-second buffer.
All right, Larry, so as all of our LMP2 drivers at the front of the field, our LMP2 leaders, have cycled through their first pit stop, and it'll be a few minutes before our GT3 drivers come on through, why don't we take a quick commercial break? We'll thank some of our sponsors, and when we come back, we'll have flag-to-flag coverage here to the checkered flag of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech World Challenge from the Hockenheimring, and we'll be right back.
Ricmotech high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com. Ricmotech high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
All right, and welcome back to the Hockenheimring for round number 2 of the Ricmotech World Challenge presented by Performa Texas Elite Graphics. I'm Greg Ginsburg along with Larry McLeod. And Larry, while we were away at break, we've had a couple of happenings here. From getting word from Race Control, and maybe you can verify this. That looks like Mike Dam did not get a drive-through, but he got appears to be a 5-second penalty to be assessed at the end of the race. So we've got the folks in the booth in the production truck checking on that for us, and we also have an incident between Travis Schwenke in the Orion Racing machine, the BMW, as well as Jake Gortson in his LMP2 machine being investigated by the stewards as well.
Yeah, busy night there for the stewards, and I think that is the case. We go back to the Mike Dam incident. That would be the incident that he had with Russ Ruddock as we were going through that. Was it a fault? Was it one of those just miscommunication? They're going to give the time penalty to Mike there, Mike Dam, the faster of those two cars, for the responsibility to pass safely. It's a 5-second penalty, so it's not the biggest one in the world, but given how close this race is, or had been, 5 seconds easily in this race could be the difference between first and fourth among that top group in GT3. So unfortunately, it's got to be done. That's the way they run the league, and that's I think that's part of why this league is run very well, why the racing is so clean, because that those penalties are out there if you do make any, as they say, avoidable contact.
Oh, and Larry, we might want to take a look. I'm getting word that perhaps, we'll take a look here. Maybe it was just an off track. because it had word that we had crashes from Arthur Chan and Russ Ruddick, but we're watching them on screen right now, along with the 33 machine of Leighton Sensei, and I didn't see a wreck between any of them, but I didn't think Russ Ruddick would get himself into another incident there. We'll continue to watch these cars, but our eyes do not deceive us.
Yeah, so far, there may have been a really close call. There may have even been a little bit of rubbing, but both of them are still underway. I don't see any damage there on the 50 of Arthur Chan. Looks like his car is clean. And then in the background, of course, you'll see the 95 of Russ Ruddick go on by, unless he just went in the pits.
And let's take a look. And Russ Ruddick, I believe, indeed, he may have just taken to the pit lane for his, perhaps his first pit stop and only pit stop of the evening, very early compared to the rest of the field.
Yeah, a couple of the GT3s have gone in, but yeah, as you said, it's a little bit on the early side for some of these drivers. Our leaders last year, Lavender and Dam and Rodriguez, the top four there, have not made their way in yet. But some of the other ones that have, looks like Steve Daniel.
Looks like Robert Brist had just gone in as well.
Yeah, so a few drivers in the GT3 ranks have made their way in. There's one of them right there.
Nice little battle heating up here with Chan and the Punto CL Racing drivers here of, in this case, Leighton Sensei, and then, of course, Freddy's a little bit further back.
A couple of times now they've found themselves trying to occupy the same piece of real estate there and having to make their way through as Sensei Leighton is right now again chasing down Chan. He's doing a pretty good job of getting in that rhythm, but I wouldn't say he's driving a flawless race, but he's still pointing the right direction and just trying to get his way through this what appears to be a very difficult traffic. And you made reference in the opening to the Real 24 that was happening this week. A lot of us were tuned in for, and how the traffic played in that race.
Yes.
This, a few less cars in track, but not many. We've got a solid, what do we have, about 30 cars out there?
We've got about 30 cars versus the, 60 or so that they started with at Daytona.
And in a smaller circuit without the long banking, there's a lot more corners here, 16 corners here at Hockenheim. So I think it's a much busier place for 30 cars sometimes than even what Daytona would have been for that 24. So you're seeing a lot of that same thing where the overlapping between the LMP2s, the GT3s, and how you'll have two LMPs trying to make their way around one GT3 or trying to make their way between four of them. And you're seeing a lot of that go on tonight. I think that's kind of what the excitement's about. It's really where it brings out the best of the best. You got a driver like Laster who's doing a fantastic job right now managing that traffic as those LMPs come up on him.
Oh.
Gets by John Allen, who's having a rough night there, having to watch the leaders lap him. And he's going to head into the pits right now. Yeah,
that's as good a time as any for John Allen to take to the pit lane.
The wrinkle in the back of his car probably means that wasn't the first time that he's had an incident, as it looks like Lavender the first of our front runners into the pits.
Yep, there he goes. And that is going to give William Laster a little bit of breathing room for right now. I'll tell you, and of course, he still has that 5-second time penalty coming to him at the end of the race. But Mike Dam had started to really close things down once again on Caleb Lavender and Laster as well. There we go. We can see the number 93 machine here now, a little bit less than 4 seconds back 4 seconds back to our leader. William Laster.
Yeah, and that's where we talk about that 5-second penalty. Doesn't always seem like much, but right now it's only 8 seconds between Dam and Rodriguez with a pit stop still to come and a lot of traffic to fight through. So that is by far not over yet between those two guys, because we know that when the incident happened, the innocent bystander there was actually Esteban Rodriguez, who, when the contact happened there between Ruddick and Dam, Ruddick was kind of pushed off the track a little bit and right into the way of Rodriguez, so he lost a lot of ground, just completely innocent to the fact. So he wants to try and make this up and pass him for realsies on the track, but if he can't, he knows that 5 seconds is coming as Saunders lets by one of our LMP2s. Saunders right now shown in the lead in GT3 AM, but I think it may be that he has not stopped.
That is correct. Both Steve Daniel and also David Bowman have both taken to the pit lane, and here we go as our leader in GT3 Pro, William Laster, comes down the pit lane, as does Mike Dam. They will take their what we believe to be their only pit stops of the evening.
This will be interesting to see. Did either one of them able to save any more fuel than the other, and see who can come out first? Again, they came in about, what was it, about 4 seconds apart or so when they were on track. As that'll hand the lead over to Esteban Rodriguez for the first time tonight.
There you go. The number 29 on your car, number 35 in your hearts is our new leader right now in GT3. Tony Kernan in the number 7 Kernan Motorsports machine. There he is. Now moves up, I believe, into second with his Porsche. And Travis Schwenke in the Orion BMW, who had that
just handed
incident.
another one of those post-race penalties for Schwenke for avoidable contact for something he was involved in. So that's 2 of the Orion cars tonight being handed out some penalties when they had such a great round in the last race that we had in the Classic Sprints. Unfortunately for the Orion team, a little bit more of a struggle tonight, including for that BMW there, Schwenke, and the Porsche for Mike Dam. A couple of penalties been handed out, so not really going their way here.
That's right. Hey, and Dennis, I don't know if we want to throw it up on the screen right now, but I know we didn't go over it prior to the race start. We'll just take a look at the point standings currently in LMP2 after one round, where we've got Christian Eisler, who was our winner at Daytona, currently leading the points. Then we've got Ignacio Rodriguez Fredes, finished second, Leighton C, and you can see there as the points break down with Arthur Chan and then Jennifer McDonald. If we move over to GT3 Pro, we've got Caleb Lavender, current points leader, with the 38 points, 4 points back. John Allen, Tony Kernan, Travis Schwenke, and then David Payton rounding out the top 5. And in GT3 AM, Jeff Jacobs, who was your winner at round 1 in the StreetSurvival.org Lamborghini Huracan, your points leader with Andre Saunders. And you'll have to see how this plays out. I don't know how they're going to handle the points here. We've got Andre Saunders listed as being second in the points right now. I guess he's taking his points from Pro. Russ Ruddick, currently third in the points, and then Steve Daniel, fourth, and then Bobby Childs fifth. And maybe
I think what they're going to do with Saunders is essentially take his finishing position from that first race and rescore it. Or, based on the points. And in fact, actually, I think the way the points work is it's always off of the lead GT3 car anyway, which is why you'll see them get like the 36 points, but the top cars in AM will only be getting the 28 points.
28, 29, exactly. Yeah.
But I think it's a good fit for him, and I think it'll be an interesting battle because it certainly creates some additional drivers who are capable of winning in the AM category. So Steve Daniel, obviously, as he's leading the race, but Saunders is a hot contester right there. And then, of course, you've got your race 1 winner, Jeff Jacobs. These 3 guys, along with a few others, could easily make some runs here. We haven't talked at all about Bobby Childs, as he was knocked out early on in this race, but he's also a contender pretty much every week in this series. So a couple of rough races for him to start out. We saw him get wiped clean off the track at Daytona a couple weeks ago. But I think for him, he'll be back as our leader, GT3 Pro, Esteban Rodriguez in the pits. We'll see where he comes out adjacent to Laster's. Already gone by. Lavender's going by now. And then Dam. But remember, he was 10 seconds or so behind these guys when they started pitting. So we'll see where he comes out. If he's any closer than that 10 seconds, he's on his way to pit exit now.
Yeah, he'd lost a lot of time in that incident with Dam and Ruddick. And, again, things will close up considerably once we figure in the penalty that's being assessed to Mike Dam. But we'll see as he's obviously rejoining here and just ahead of John Casey on track. Now, going back to GT3 AM, Larry, of course, we had Andre Saunders. He was, I think, our last driver to have not taken a pit stop. He has taken his pit stop, and that did elevate Steve Daniel back to the lead. But Saunders managed to close things down just a little bit when they came back out on track. The gap was only about 4.5 seconds or so, and it looks like Saunders has now taken a little bit out of that here on what is for these drivers, I believe, lap number 31.
So this is where it's interesting for a driver in this position if you're Steve Daniel, because if you're a pro racer, if you're at the Daytona 24, you've got a whole crew on the wall, you got spotters all around the track, and they're telling you your margins, they're telling you your gaps, because in iRacing, you don't necessarily have that. Some of these guys do. I'm guessing Steve Daniel does not. I would not. If I were racing, I would have to rely on my relative screen, which is the little box that pops up on the lower right corner for you. It tells you the 3 cars in front of you and the gaps to them, and the 3 cars behind you and the gaps to them. The problem is if the person you're physically racing, as they say, in the case of Steve Daniel, that's Andre Saunders, may not be 3 cars ahead or behind you on the track.
Right.
It might be 4 or 5. You don't know where this guy is, and you're kind of going, well, I think he's back there somewhere. What pace do I need to run? And only when he gets finally close enough, or when that traffic in between vacates, do you finally get to see where he's at. And as we can see, the 72 of Saunders is probably 3 cars behind Steve Daniel right now. So he's kind of lurking, but as he cuts time out of there, all of a sudden Daniel's going to say, "Rut-row, that guy's in my class. I got to pick it up."
Yeah, so we'll have to track here as Saunders is crossing the stripe to see what he turned on his very last lap. Previous lap was his pit stop and his out lap, so a little bit difficult to tell there. But this time by, Saunders was almost 0.7 of a second faster than Steve Daniel.
Yeah, he's definitely got pace right now as Daniel. Feeling a little bit of pressure there. You can see him catching a little bit of the grass edge as he enters the parabolic curve. It's you can see track position behind him is Ruddock. He's a lap down from him, and then you've got the 5 of Fredis, but you can see the 3rd car in the distance. That is Andre Saunders. That also means, as I was talking about, that relative screen tells you who the 3 cars are behind you. That means Steve Daniel can see it. He can see that 3.11 in that little screen going, well, I know he's coming quick. It's time for me to put the foot down in this Ferrari and see what it's got.
Yeah, and you know, you said it there. It's got to be difficult with all of this LMP2 traffic circling through and cycling through to see that Mohawk racing car on the relative screen, and then for it to be gone again mere moments later. You know, you can see there are 2 LMP2 cars right back behind Andre Saunders, so that's going to perhaps add maybe a little bit more doubt to what Steve Daniel sees here.
This
Wow,
is getting
things are
tight
getting
here.
Yeah,
as
things
the
getting
27
really.
and the 12. That's 27 and 21. That's, I think, the reason Charlie Bono trying to make their way through in their LMP2s by both Ruddock, who seems to be in every shot tonight.
Yes,
he's getting a lot of screen time tonight for Mr. Ruddock. But that is the 72 of Saunders finally able to make his way by. But you can see the net effect of that. All of a sudden, Daniel to Saunders is 5 seconds. Remember, it was down to about 2.8.
Yeah, exactly. They went into the Sachs curve there. Again, the tightest, the most narrow portion of the track. And and things just seemed like they went into slow motion for about 5 seconds or so. And that's what that's something that Steve Daniel obviously is going to be able to take advantage of, where he's at a place on track right now where he doesn't have a lot of traffic to deal with.
Yeah, and look at that. You can see the gaps and how that ebb and flow of this gap management flies. You've got Saunders 0.6 of a lap faster, and then all of a sudden loses a couple seconds. Then, of course, you got the pit stops in there. But then he gains 0.8, and then he loses a second and a half. And if you're Saunders, that means I've really got to not give up as much with these LMP2 cars coming through. And for Daniel, it's kind of the same thing. You're thinking, I got to be nice. I got to be a good neighbor. But, man, I don't want to be giving away the farm to these guys when they're coming through. I got to make them earn it.
That's right. And, and again, they were going through that section of the track side by side, 2 by 2. There really wasn't much that Saunders could do at that point.
Right. Yeah, and he's just trying to keep going, but at the same time, he was trying to get by Ruddock, who's a GT3 car, and let the 2 LMPs by at the same time. That's a lot going on, as you say, in the tightest corner on the track.
Yeah, caught between a rock and a hard place. All right, so as we now have just a little bit over, or a little bit under 20 minutes remaining here from the Hockenheimring. It is still Christian Eisler, your leader in LMP2. He's got about a 5.5 second advantage over Jennifer McDonald. Leighton C currently running 3rd in the Punto Seal Racing number 33 machine. And GT3 Pro William Laster, as he's done, I think, since about lap 4, he is your leader in GT3 Pro, running 2nd. Caleb Lavender in the D2D iRacing Audi. Then we've got Mike Dam running in third, Esteban Rodriguez running in fourth. And we're going to have to keep watching that gap between those two drivers. And it's still sitting right around 6 seconds between them. And in GT3 AM, Steve Daniel, your leader, with right now about 5 seconds on Andre Saunders. David Bowman in the number 77 Audi currently running in third.
Well, you don't need to see the clock to know what the gap is between these two guys, between Sensei Layton and Arthur Chan, as those guys are essentially nose to tail. And so Layton taking the wide line around that double apex right-hander there from 15 to 16, as they are catching up to Esteban Rodriguez and trying to make the way around him.
Well, not only that, Larry, if we take a look here, they are also closing things down very quickly on Jennifer McDonald. McDonald now with only a 3-second advantage over Leighton Sensei and Arthur Chan in that number 99 BTL Motorsports machine. She had, a considerable advantage over those drivers prior to the first pit stop here. And as she's lost ground to Eisler, she lost ground on the pit lane, and she's continuing to lose ground now here on track as well. We see those other two cars only now a couple seconds back.
Yes, it's gotten very tight. You can see all three of them in the same shot. And, of course, then you've got Lorente in the middle of this as well in that number 9. He's right in the mix, about to be maybe putting the lap down to McDonald, and Layton and Chan coming in behind. And they are, as you can see right there, the 333 of Lavender right in front of them. So this is this point in the race where everybody's sort of trying to occupy the same piece of racetrack at the same time. And I don't know if this is going to work out well for everybody. With about 17 minutes to go in the race, I'm starting to think we're going to see these leaders come through each other one more time before we see checkers tonight, as McDonald finally gets her way around Lorente and now trying to make her way on by the rest of the GT3. There goes Lavender, and Laster just ahead.
And seemingly we're getting this interaction between the GT3 and LMP2 leaders seemingly almost every single time over by the Sachs curve. Over by turns 10 and 11.
Yeah, well, a couple things to keep our eye on. Obviously, this is one of them here with McDonald being chased down by Layton and Chan. And that right now, 2 out of those 3 could be on the podium by the time this thing's over. But it's far from over. The other is, take a look at the gap between Laster and Lavender as they're getting mixed in with these LMP2s. Remember, it was almost 3 seconds a couple minutes ago. It's well under 2 now as Lavender seems able to take some time out of Laster's lead. There's the gap as it comes down. He's taking chunks down. A couple tenths here, a couple tenths there, 6 tenths here. And he's got it down to 1.8 now. And just trying not to lose any more ground as these LMP2s go on through.
Well, and it looks like we just had Laster, I think just had a little bit of an internet blink there for a moment. And he's rejoined the land of the living here. Had his Matrix moment. And he still has his lead, but I think the gap now down to only about 1.5 seconds.
Yes, very, very close there. Enough where Lavender can start to feel some draft. Not that it's a huge draft benefit, but anything will help with these guys around that long parabolic curve. And there is a good shot of Caleb Lavender in that Audi trying to make some pace. And he had a relatively easy manage the race pace at Daytona. Try and hold off John Allen. Tonight, it's been a very different deal. Tonight, it's been all-out qualifying pace for an hour, and an hour right now. And for him, 2 seconds to go to catch in the next 15 is not going to be easy, but it's going to be a dogfight to the end. As McDonald seems to have opened up a few extra seconds on Layton and Chan. Not much, though, as there's Layton there right behind Chan right there.
Yeah, things starting to close down on her just a little bit here, as you said. 15 minutes, and I think it's a little very different here.
There's one more pit stop for each of these. What we don't know is, did everybody put in the same amount of fuel? Chan's pit stops seem to be about 2 seconds shorter than all the other LMPs. Start to wonder, does he need more fuel this time around? But he seems to have made it this far, so perhaps he didn't short fuel. Maybe he just had a very good stop. Maybe the crew did a better job for him for the Axion car than it did for some of the others. But let's see. We do know that Jennifer had the latest pit stop. We had seen Eisler, Layton, Chan all come in together. Jennifer went 1 extra lap. Does she do the same thing here, and then therefore need to add a little bit less than everybody else?
That's right. Now, 2 weeks ago at Daytona, Arthur Chan came in early for his first stop, not nearly as early as he did tonight, with the hopes of maybe going going and just really switching up the pit cycle compared to the rest of the competitors on track. It did not work out for him. He had put himself up into the lead for a period of time, but when the second stop cycled through, he of course fell back into fourth position. He might be in a little bit better, depending on the fuel savings. He might be a little bit better off tonight. He certainly doesn't seem to have the same on-track pace as the 33 car does. So, you know, he would conceivably have to make that up in the pits and then probably be able to hold off the 33 car towards the very end and run a defensive race.
Yeah, if he short-filled the car, I'd be very impressed, because right now he's at about that 30-minute mark and hasn't had to come in yet. So perhaps he did just have a very good stop, or maybe he has been able to save a little bit in this stint. Which again, all of that adds up. If you can just save a second or 2 seconds here and there, and you can see these gaps are so close now, just 2.5, 3 seconds separating second from fourth in LMP2. Every little bit counts. When you've got 2 pit stops, that's 2 chances to go through the pit entry, to come out of pit exit, to get on your marks, to not miss your flagger. It's going to be very good. And these second stops, remember a couple things. Drivers have to remember to turn off their tire changes, because they automatically turn back on usually, unless you've changed that setup file.
Well, we remember what happened at Daytona at the start of season number 3.
Yep, we had that exact same thing where a couple of drivers did, as Jennifer now is the first driver in. This is strange, because she was the last one for the first stop, but maybe she saw some track clearing and figured to take advantage. But yeah, definitely one of those things. The other thing we do remember is she appeared to have she missed her pit box.
She missed her stop.
Yes, and I'm wondering, because we thought she had lost a lot of ground behind Eisler in her first round of stops, wondering if maybe she had a conservative entry, or I'm wondering if it was something like this where she missed her pit box. Those pit box misses are typically about 3 seconds lost. She's in, she's out pretty quick, but wow, that's going to hurt her considering the close battles behind.
All right, and she is going to rejoin now in 5th position, as she is the first of our drivers to pit. She wasn't the first of the LMP2 drivers to take a second stop. I think Jay Shallington was or probably not Shallington, but Charlie Bono was the first to take a second stop.
Sure. Yeah. But first of those leaders, certainly, correct, with Eisler, Leighton, and Chan. And Fredis also in that mix, but Leighton and Chan being the one she was just really running from in those last couple laps. We'll see if those guys could lay down some flyers, as Saunders now, who is trying to chase down Steve Daniel, looks like that chase has come to an end. He's just trying to find clean space in the track to get back out.
And as they come through, David Bowman in the Audi now still about a half a minute behind Saunders in 3rd in GT3 AM. So Saunders had a little bit of a buffer there, but certainly as he had been making up ground on Steve Daniel, that battle is now done. Let's take a look at the replay, Larry.
Yeah, we'll take a look here. He's around that kink on this infield and just goes a little bit wide, catches a little bit of that dirt grass, and makes big contact with the wall. That car is definitely not going to be turning the same way as it did before.
And I think at this point now, as we have just 10 minutes remaining here in the race, it's going to be a challenge, Larry. But I think he's going to try and limp that beast home.
He's going to try, but Bowman's not going to give up the fight there in the 77 behind him. He's about 7-8 seconds back.
That's right. Well, what was a 30-second gap is now an 8-second gap. So you can
if
see
Saunders is able to come on and hang on for the second spot, it's going to be a pretty gritty drive for him, because that was a huge impact. And that's the kind of impact where drivers usually end up off at the medic tent with one of those. That was definitely a big shunt.
Right, and you're watching right behind is Jennifer McDonald, who's coming out of the corner. She is still running in 5th. Have not had any of the drivers 1st through 4th come in for their second pit stops as of yet, as we jump back to this seemingly never-ending battle for the lead in GT3 Pro. William Laster continues to hold out a 1.3 second advantage over Caleb Lavender's D2D E-Racing Audi.
And shockingly, they're the only ones in the shot right now, that there aren't 14 other cars. Of course, there's an LMP out in front of them. But really, for the next lap, they're going to have nice, clean track, which is great for Laster to kind of keep things back to. But for Lavender, he knows he only has to focus on what's in front of him. Doesn't have anybody near him that's going to disrupt the LMP2s coming up behind. So for Lavender, he can maybe also just sort of get the you know, the dog chase the rabbit here a little bit and see if he can run him down. We're kind of running down. We're down to about 8.5 minutes left of green flag, so he's kind of running out of chances, but he's going to have to really get it under a second here with the next couple of minutes if he wants to have a shot to take over that lead and try to go back-to-back in the first 2 rounds.
Is we have less than 9 minutes remaining here from the Hockenheimring for round number 2 of the Ricmotech World Challenge, presented by Performa Texas Elite Graphics. And again, time wandering down here as we continue to watch. And that is one complex there, Larry, that Laster seemingly has issues navigating. But again, the Audi just doesn't seem to be able to make up any room there.
Yeah, no, he not quite, but you know, as he gets to the long stretches, perhaps down around the Parabolica, you can see the gap on the screen come down as our LMP2s are starting to filter through. This is Arthur Chan, the second of those front runners, and we'll be watching to see, does he hit his pit box? Does he have to back up? And where is Jennifer McDonald? Because Jennifer was ahead of Arthur when she took her pits, but we know she had issues. Arthur's on the marks.
Here we go as our 3 Punto Cielo Racing entries now running 1, 2, 3. Eisler, as he's led the majority of this race. Leighton Sensi, and then Ignacio Rodriguez Fredes as Arthur Chan takes his fuel, takes his
oh, it's going to be a run, though.
Lane.
There's Jennifer with a head of steam.
And let's
She's
see now.
Right there. Oh, almost contact between these two.
That's right. Little tap there as Jennifer
now it's
McDonald
a drag race.
now. As McDonald now
down.
trying to get back around the number 50 machine. This is now the battle for 4th. And McDonald
just catch a little draft. It's not going to quite get the BTLs get behind the Axiom for just one more corner. We'll see if she can push him into a wrong line and maybe get a run. Her tires should be plenty warm. Arthur's would be just a hair cold. Doesn't seem to be hurting Arthur, though. He seems to have some pretty good pace right out of the pits.
Yeah, so for Jennifer McDonald, who had been running second prior to the very first pit stop window for these drivers, now finds herself in 5th position, having given up a place in the pits to Arthur Chan, and we now have Leighton Sensi on the pit lane. That is the number 33 car pitting from second,
and Fred is right behind him
from 3rd. So that's going to leave Christian Eisler, our leader, out on track in the number 727 machine. And of course, Larry, we've seen where Eisler seems to do incredibly well on fuel, does a great job saving, and of course he's had such an advantage over the course of this race. He's had more than ample opportunity to try and save fuel.
He's had, if he took advantage of it, we'll see. My guess is I don't think he was able to save 10 minutes of fuel, but he might be able to save a couple of minutes and it'll still be a splash and go. But what we're looking for is, where is Leighton? Looks like Chan and McDonald already got around.
Yes, Leighton Sensi rejoins now in 5th place in the number 33 machine with a very long second pit stop, Larry. Almost 20 plus seconds, almost twice as long as any of the other drivers.
I wonder if he had things like the wrong fuel set to go in the car, or potentially that tire thing we were talking about still turned on and just unable to get back out of there, because that is a long pit stop to be in there, and he lost a lot of time to both Chan and McDonald. He's now a couple seconds behind there.
And there we go from the lead. Christian Eisler now coming into the pit lane for his final pit stop with less than 5 minutes remaining. Should be just a splash of fuel, about 5 gallons or so, to get him to the end of the race.
What I don't know is also what happened to Jennifer McDonald, because look at the time gap. She's now 10 seconds behind Chan. Remember, they were nose to tail. We last checked in, so something definitely happened there. It's put her back there now into the mix with Leighton in 4th and 5th as our leader. Nice and clean pit stop, back underway.
But that elevates Arthur Chan. All right, let's take a look, Larry. I think we have a beat on what happened to Jennifer McDonald here.
Coming into that hairpin, and just the rear locks up. And unfortunately, that's 10 seconds just gone as that clock runs while the car is stationary. And for her now, she's got a battle on her hands for 4th.
That's right. So the 10-second advantage she had over Leighton Sensi in the pits goes away at the hairpin. And Leighton now is only, looks like only about a second and a half, maybe a little less than a second and a half off of Jennifer McDonald.
And then these guys, as we jump back to GT3 Pro, It's down to 1.1 seconds between Laster and Lavender. Any little mistake, you miss an apex, too much curve for Laster, puts Lavender right into his grasp. And but it also means they're able to draft, and Lavender can probably close this gap up. We are now less than 4 minutes away from Checker. This battle is far from over, and I'm wondering where's the rest of our LMP2 field, because they could come running through this too.
Yes,
here.
they could. It could make things very, very interesting for them here. Quick note, checking the gaps between Mike Dam and Esteban Rodriguez. It is now about, I think, a little less than 4 seconds separating those two drivers. So with that 5-second penalty due to Mike Dam, that will probably change the makeup of the podium.
Yeah, for Rodriguez, that's great. He's probably watching that gap himself to knowing that penalty is out there to try and make sure he's within that 5 seconds. Right now, he certainly is. As these two are nose to tail, 8/10 from Laster to Lavender. We've been at this for an hour and 12 minutes, and these guys they started on the front row just like this. Lavender had that early lead, jumped him, was able to get by for a few laps. Laster took the lead back, and here they are, just less than 8/10 of a second apart. With a couple minutes left, probably, I'd say 2 laps if I had to guess.
All right, let's take a look here. Travis Schwenke in the number 16 Orion Racing BMW. And looks like he had a run-in with one of our LMP2 drivers as the rear end goes around.
Was that Chan?
Was
the
that
LMP2 driver?
Yeah, I think that might have been the number 50 machine, Larry.
Yeah, that'd be unfortunate as they are looking at it. I think it was, because they're investigating the 16 and the 50. The 50 is Chan, so that could make a difference here if there's any fault to put on to Chan, because he's currently 5 seconds ahead of Fredes for second place, and we know that the 5-second number has already been handed out tonight for one penalty. Will they use it again if there's any that are deemed necessary? But that's in the meantime, we'll flash for the battle of fourth. This is Jennifer McDonald and Cincy Layton, as they are nose to tail. Layton now with 1.5 minutes to get by Jennifer, with a John Allen in front. John's just trying to stay out of the way of this battle, but there's nothing he can do.
Yeah, there's nowhere for him to go there in that final corner, Larry, as McDonald and Layton come out nose to tail, coming into turn number 1 now. And they are going to push the Lamborghini, the yellow Lamborghini. I think that is Jacobs wide.
Yeah. And he was just going to try and get as far as he could out of the way of that battle. He knows what's going on there. These two are nose to tail, but it's a good draft. These two, they do draft pretty well. Good aero cars typically do. You'll watch that gap come down. We'll see if Layton gets any kind of a run. McDonald's going to go a little bit defensive. No, she gives up the defensive line, goes back to traditional, holds it.
And remember, Larry, this could very well determine the last step on the LMP2 podium. If Arthur Chan is assessed a penalty.
Oh, and Layton's going to take down the inside, get by McDonald. It looks like he's going to make that stick.
There you go. So now moving up into fourth is Layton Cincy, the number 33 Punto CL Racing Machine, moving Jennifer McDonald now back in the 5th position.
White flag should be out. There's the white flag for Christian Eisler with a 12-second buffer. This guy has done nothing wrong tonight. Just absolutely perfect through all the traffic that we've been talking about, everybody else and all these things. You'll notice that we almost never see Eisler struggle with traffic.
No, I mean, he had his challenges early on in the race, and Jennifer McDonald was able to keep it very close early on as they worked their way through traffic. But certainly after the first pit stop cycle, and with a little bit of extra breathing room, Eisler has had a fairly easy run.
This may seem like nothing, but this is something. That's a lot of something. That's your leader.
That's your
in
leader
both classes
in
coming up together.
Around.
Yes, that's Laster now getting spun by Eisler, the overall race leader. There's going to be incidents to be looked at here by the stewards at the end of this one, as that just put Caleb Lavender into the lead in GT3 Pro on the last lap. And I said that was
lap to go.
Well, it depends. It depends on, does Eisler go by Lavender before he sees Checker? Otherwise, Lavender's got to go around again.
One more time, exactly. And here we go. Is Eisler, I don't think is going to get to the line ahead of Lavender. Let's take a look here as they come through those very tight Sachs curves.
And if I'm Lavender, I'd let him by, because I don't want to have to go around again. Let the guy go. I've got a 4-second, 3-second buffer on my rival. Sure, I'll do one last lap out here.
There you
and
go.
that's exactly what he does.
Yeah, exactly. He lets them by. They're going to come onto the front straight right now. And so Christian Eisler, and we'll have to see how this plays out with the stewards, but Christian Eisler is going to take the checkered flag. He's going to take the win on track in LMP2. Arthur Chan, I believe, is going to hold on to second. Let's take a look here as Chan comes across. Then
I think it's Ignacio Freitas.
Yeah, Ignacio Freitas. He is going to come in third in the number 5 machine, just back behind Arthur Chan, and far closer than 5 seconds, Larry, if Chan gets assessed the penalty. Then in GT3 Pro, Caleb Lavender is your winner in the number 333 D2D E-Racing Audi. William Laster will come home in second. Mike Dam comes home in third. And Larry, I'm showing almost a 30-plus second differential between, or 25-second differential between Dam and Rodriguez. I don't know what happened there, but
I'm not sure either. Unless,
but Rodriguez,
we'll have to wait and see, because I know that there may have been also a trip. I don't know where the leaders were in between.
That's possible that
I'm not sure.
that they ended up on different laps there at the end. In GT3 AM, Steve Daniel is going to come away with the win in the number 96 Ferrari. And and Daniel's already crossed the stripe, Larry. So I think we're in good shape there.
He's good there.
Andre Saunders, still waiting for Saunders. He has not crossed the stripe yet. And last look, I think he had about a 3-second advantage over David Bowman. Saunders, there you go. He crosses the stripe. He is going to finish second after a very, very difficult last 10 minutes behind the wheel for him. David Bowman in his Audi going to finish in third.
So I'm listening to the marshal. So post-race time penalties been given out, and it flashed up there for a second. To the car 50, Chan, a 30-second post-race penalty. That is going to move him out of the podium.
That is right.
Also, Christian Eisler, your race winner, no longer. It looks like he's going to also be assessed a 30-second post-race penalty. I believe that's going to give the race win to Ignacio Rodriguez Freitas.
With Leighton C second, and I believe that will move Jennifer McDonald up to the third spot on the podium.
Yes. Now, there was also a penalty issued to the number 7. I believe that is
Tony Kernan.
Tony Kernan, yes. I don't know where that's not going to have much of an effect on the standing, certainly not on the podium level, but the stewards were explaining, as we were seeing earlier in the race, a 5-second penalty that was given to Mike Dam for a faster car overtaking.
Larry, I'm getting word, what we just heard from the stewards, and we'll have to see exactly how this plays out. I have to check to see if there was a penalty assessed to Steve Daniel, because the last thing I just heard from the stewards is that the number 72 car of Andre Saunders has been declared the winner in GT3 AM.
Oh, this is tough. Yeah, I had not seen anything there. But one of the things the stewards had said for a moment was, because these incidents were last lap, the penalties are more severe than the ones were earlier, which is why you saw very similar contact for Mike Dam when he had that contact with Russ Rudnick
just
earlier.
5 seconds.
Right, only a 5-second. They're saying the severity of it, doing it on the last lap is part of the reason why they're giving a higher penalty for that. And unfortunately for Eisler and for Chan, that's a big penalty. For Freitas and for Leighton from McDonald, that's going to move them up. And for Laster, there's nothing you could do. You drove a fantastic race, and right now you're going to go home in second. But kind of the way that one goes when these things happen. So for Laster, it still ends up on that podium.
All right, so Larry, tell you what, why don't we take a quick break here? Thank our sponsors for this wonderful last lap action and everything prior to that as well. We'll try to figure out and get a handle on exactly what went down on this very hectic last lap, and we'll be back with some podium interviews. You've just watched the finish of a very, very, I'll use the word hectic a second time here, Larry. Hectic 75 minutes from the Hockenheimring for the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech World Challenge presented by Performa Texas Elite Graphics, and we'll be right back.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, ricmotech.com.
All right, and we are back here at the Hockenheimring, and where you've just seen the finish of the second round of Season 4 here for the Ricmotech World Challenge presented by Performatech Elite Graphics. I'm Greg Ginsburg with Larry McLeod. And Larry, we may not have a handle on the full podium yet for each one of our three classes, but we can with some certainty give you the winners. Taking the overall win tonight was Ignacio Rodriguez Fredes in the number 5 Punto CL Racing LMP2 entry. Our winner in GT3 Pro, driving the number 333 D2D E-Racing Audi R8, Caleb Lavender, and taking the win. And I'm sure as he smacked the wall, went into the wall nose first with 10 minutes remaining, and limped that car around, the last thing that Andre Saunders probably thought in his hopes and dreams that he'd come home with the gold medal here at the Hockenheimring. But the Mohawk Racing BMW comes home with the GT3 AM win.
Well, I'll tell you, the one thing we know is we got the camera shot on him right there is that Caleb Lavender won the GT3 Pro. That we know for sure. And we know that in second place is William Laster. And an unfortunate way to end that, but, a fantastic hour and 15 minutes between those two guys. One was going to win. The other one wasn't. Laster was in a good position, but frankly, that race still wasn't over. There were a lot of corners left to go.
Yeah.
But for what it does mean in the big picture is Laster comes in and makes a huge impact on his first race back in this series. Welcome back, William. That is awesome. Great way to come out, put the car on pole, lead a bunch of laps right up to the end. That was great running, and I'm looking forward to him the rest of the season. And Lavender, this means now is 2 race wins in 2 rounds. So for him, probably couldn't have been any better. We'll get a chance to talk to him in a minute. But as we look at the other classes, I think the mayhem that was LMP2, just absolute insanity that went on there, right up through that last lap.
Yeah, all the way through the end, whether it be on track, whether it be on the pit lane, you just never knew how it was going to play out. So, Larry, we do have Caleb Lavender, our GT3 Pro leader, winner, pardon me. He's sitting in the middle of the front straight there, but he's in the green room. Why don't we bring him on in?
All right, we've got Caleb Lavender with us. And Caleb, I don't know that I've ever seen a finish to a race as crazy as this was tonight across all the classes. You were right in the middle of it. Had a bird's eye view of what went on there between Christian and then, of course, your rival, William. But walk me through that incident, and then I want to get back to talking about the meat of this race and how this long night went.
Dude, I couldn't believe that happened at the hairpin, man. That's all I can say is that was insane. I knew I needed some help. I needed some help from the traffic, but I didn't want that kind of help,
Of course, yeah, and that was unfortunate because you guys were having one heck of a race, and Greg and I kept flashing over to it as we were looking at a lot of things going on, and you were 3 seconds, 2.5, you're 2, you're 1.5, and you had it down under 7, 8 tenths as you guys are going down the Parabolica. You didn't make the pass going into the hairpin, but you had the leader about to make sure you guys didn't get another lap. Do you think that in those last 10 corners you had a shot to get by him?
No way. He had it for sure because he was killing me in the middle sector and the last sector every lap. So that was his race to win. It's just unfortunate that the LMP2 caught him there.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. We're glad at least that he was able to get the car, run it again, and get it out and finish in second. I think it's going to be a great, great battle between you guys and throwing Mike and throwing Esteban. Honestly, Esteban Rodriguez had another fantastic race as well. Got caught up in one of the incidents. This top 4 in this field, you guys are about as equal as I've seen in sim racing in a while. Your first race was basically you just outrunning John. Tonight, it's everybody. I mean, what do you think about this class now looking at the rest of the season?
Yeah, it's gonna be a tough season going forward for sure. These guys are really quick. I got a lot of respect for all these guys, and I'm looking forward to racing them.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to calling it. And for you, though, you got the bit of a leg up. 2 race wins in 2 rounds. That's got to set you up for the rest of the season, and I'm sure that your team and your sponsors are pretty happy to see that.
Yeah, for sure. I'd like to thank Skull Sim Gear for helping the team out and supporting us, and everybody at D2D, and you guys for being awesome, man. Thanks.
Well, appreciate the shout out, but you definitely put on a good show tonight. Obviously, the last lap didn't go how anybody wanted, but for now, a win's a win. Nobody will look back and they're not gonna look back and see how it happened. They're just gonna see that you've got 2 race wins in 2 rounds and ready for the next one, I'm sure. So Caleb, congratulations on the win tonight, and we'll see you next time out.
Yep. Thank you, guys.
There you go. Caleb Lavender, driver of the number 333 D2D iRacing SimSkullRacing.com Audi R8 and taking the win here tonight in GT3 Pro. And Caleb, we're not awesome. You're awesome. So great run, regardless of how it finished up. Great battles there, pretty much across all 3 classes tonight, Larry. And if you like what you saw here this evening, everybody, please go ahead and give us that big thumbs up. That's the one thing that you should not be confused about here this evening. Give us that big thumbs up. Go ahead and subscribe to Apex Racing TV if you haven't done so already, and click on the notification bell to find out when we go live seemingly every day, all times during the day, with great virtual motorsports action from around the globe. All right, so Larry, let's take a look forward. Kind of hard to forget what we just saw here, but let's take a look forward at what we have coming up here across our 3 different series. And next up, next week, is going to be the return of the Classic Sprint Series, and we're going to be going from Bathurst, from Mount Panorama, back to Alabama to Barber Motorsports Park, where we're going to have a single 60-minute race for our Mazda MX-5 drivers. That is next Monday night, February 7th, 8 p.m. Don't want to miss it. And in 2 weeks, we're going to be going down to the Hockenheimring. Though not a big, not a huge travel expense from where we are here at the Hockenheimring. And instead of a 70-minute battle, it is going to be our longest race of the season, 90 minutes. That is 2 weeks from tonight, February 21st, 8 p.m. Eastern time.
I just want to say, 90 minutes, Hockenheimring, the 2 classes we just watched. You're not going to want to miss that. Much tighter track. It's going to be crazy. I am so looking forward to it. I think we've got some of the best competition in the series that we've been calling now in a couple of years of Ricmotech between our classes, Pro and AM GT3s, as well as our LMP2s. You do not want to miss that night in a couple of weeks.
No, definitely not. And then, of course, our fixed setup single mark series, the Lamborghini Trophy Series, will have its opening round of season number 2. It's a little ways off. May 9th, Monday night, May 9th, at WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca. And there is still time to sign up for that series as well. If you go to extrememotorsports99.com/road, you can find out about how to get involved with the LTS. And again, we're still taking entries for the Ricmotech World Series, and you can join us all the way up until our next round at the Hockenheimring. So if you like the action tonight and want to join us on track, please do so. Please come out to that website, extrememotorsports99.com/road. So for Larry McLeod, for all the great action that we brought you on screen here, I want to thank Dennis Branch and Jonathan Grabowski as always. I'm Greg Ginsburg, and we will see you next Monday night from Barber Motorsports Park. Have a great week, everybody.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, ricmotech.com.